Hello, I'm Angie Tourani, holistic healthcare practitioner and energy healer. Welcome to my channel for this healing session. So if you've been struggling with stress and anxiety, well, you're at the right place. Today we are going to work with stress and anxiety. Now, how these distance sessions work is you would sit comfortably in your house and listen to the treatment, and your body would absorb whatever it needs from the session. So we'll start with balancing our brain. So for balancing the brain, firstly, we are going to do a simple technique, brain balancing technique called codices. So let's do this together. So use any hand, put at the base of your neck, and start tapping. So gentle tapping on the head, heart, and gut. And while I'm doing this, I'm focusing on balancing the brain and improving the circulation. Then I'm sliding my hand and covering the whole midline of the head with gentle tapping on head, heart, and gut. And this is about balancing the left and right hemisphere of the brain, balancing the electromagnetic frequencies and the communication networks. So you're sliding your hand up and covering the whole midline of the brain. And with each tapping, you're focusing on improving the circulation, communication between those neurons, and restoring the blood supply in those cold spots till you end up just above the eyebrows. So gentle tapping on head, heart, and gut. And then we are going to balance the sides, which is also the limbic brain. So you hold it for a second and then you tap. So this brain balancing technique is to get you grounded. And I'll tune into and we'll work with this session for supporting your nervous system and help you out of stress and anxiety. So first thing that is showing up as a priority is another technique which is called switching, which is for stress release. Stress release is when our stress thresholds are quite low, and with the environmental stress, the brain gets into the switching mode, which simply means switched off, and it sort of starts confusing everything. So you're not able to think straight, comprehend information, and function well. So let's do this simple technique together, which is called switching to de-stress. So I'm putting some gentle pressure on the eyeballs till I see some dancing lights, and I hold it for a few seconds. And now I'm releasing, and I'm reaching out to the clavicle and just dropping a little bit down till I feel these tender spots. I'm stimulating these points. These are called switching points. 𝗔𝗴𝗶𝗶 acupuncture point is another name. Deep breathing, and I'm tapping it out. And this technique is like switch on button. So you suddenly feel clear, focused. And now another treatment in the technique that is showing up as a priority is hydration. So we are focusing on cellular hydration, but specifically hydration of the cerebrospinal fluid around the brain. Now, once the cerebrospinal fluid gets stagnant, then the clarity of mind is compromised. So I'll be doing the technique for hydration. So if you have water around you, a drop of water, you put it in your navel. And then I'm doing a technique for hydration, but we are specifically focusing the hydration of the cerebrospinal fluid around the brain. So I start with putting my hands at the side of the head and gentle tapping. If you like, you can do this tapping technique with me or simply observing it. I'm programming this treatment for people who are watching it. So you can either do the techniques with me or just simply relax and tune into the energy of it. So hydration of the cerebrospinal fluid. Other thing that I'm picking up as a priority, which is impacting stress and anxiety, is the spheno-basilar joint in the brain, which is blocked. So the spheno-basilar joint is basically a mobile joint in the brain, just behind the eyebrows. And that's where the pituitary gland sits. And what I'm picking up, it's blocked. What is causing its block is emotional stress. And I'm picking up specifically environmental stress. Environmental stress, specifically the electromagnetic frequencies, all the Wi-Fi's, gadgets, environmental noise, pollution. So the stress that is being picked up by 5 senses, subtle senses, which sort of create this overwhelm. And that's what is basically blocking the spheno-basilar joint. So I'm going to program the treatments where I'll be focusing on the senses, 5 senses, for clearing this built-up of stress, as well as working on releasing this spheno-basilar joint which is blocked. So all you need to do is just simply listen, relax, and absorb the treatment while I'm doing it. So for the spheno-basilar joint, I'm going to do this particular technique. So I was energetically focusing on releasing this spheno-basilar joint, and the hand position was the roof of the mouth and the sphenoid bone, while focusing on releasing all the stress and deep breathing to release it. And now another thing that is showing up as a priority is the yin and yang balance. So what I'm picking up, the imbalance in the left and right side of the body, and the sugar metabolism, which is sort of contributing to those stress levels. So I'm working on this particular acupuncture point, which is called spleen 21 acupuncture point, also called pancreas reflex point. And by balancing this, we are focusing on balancing the left and right side of the body and balancing the sugar metabolism. So this point is just 1 hand width below the underarms, and it's a tender spot. So I'm working on stimulating this spleen 21 acupuncture point. Take a deep breath. And then tapping it out. And with tapping out, what we are focusing on is integrating these treatments by activating the central nervous system, the heart brain, and the gut brain. So focusing on the 3 nervous system and integrating the treatments. Now, another thing that is showing up as a priority with this whole focus of stress and anxiety is gut microbiome. Gut microbiome play a huge role. So our gut produces 90% of serotonin, which is our happy hormone, and GABA, which is anxiety inhibiting hormone, which is majorly produced in gut. So what I'm picking up, this production of these two hormones is slightly out of balance, which is produced by the neuroendocrine cells of the gut brain of the intestines. And the second factor is the microbiome, which is the friendly bacteria. And there are certain species of bacteria that synthesize and activate serotonin and GABA. And what I'm picking up is it's under functioning. So the population is less and they're not functioning efficiently. So with this treatment, we are looking at why this function is compromised. And what I'm tuning into the consciousness of the solar plex chakra, which is about digesting food, but also digesting and processing the life stresses. So with this treatment, I'm focusing on strengthening the solar plex chakra, the spin of the solar plex chakra, and the consciousness of the solar plex chakra, which is digesting and processing the life situations and stresses, and supporting the fire element. And we are working on running a cellular repair treatment on the neuroendocrine cells for increasing the production of the GABA and serotonin. As well as I'm running another parallel session, and we are looking at strengthening the meridians, specifically the kidney meridian and the governing vessel meridian, with the focus of improving the health, population, and function of this depleted microbiome. Now, kidney meridian is all about reproduction. So we are looking at bringing that meridian and chi to increase the reproduction and the population of these healthy microbiome species that are depleted. Governing vessel meridian is the most yang meridian, and this is all about supporting and strengthening your immune system and gut microbiome. So we are focusing on strengthening the chi through these meridians to increase the population, to optimize the communication networks within the gut microbiome, and increasing the production of serotonin and GABA, as well as addressing the underlying consciousness where sort of the stress of difficulty with digesting and processing, assimilating and absorbing life situations. So it's more like feeling choked with life, feeling unable to digest and process some difficult pieces of life. And this feels more about relationships, difficult relationships. So I'm tuning into that energy with focus of addressing all this, and we are going to run a program to address it. So just take a few deep breaths, and we are tuning in and working with the consciousness of the solar plex chakra, the consciousness of these microbiome, as well as addressing those neuroendocrine cells. And the next priority that I'm picking up is some emotional release work, specifically fear, in the amygdala complex. Now, amygdala complex is a tiny centers of the brain, literally at the size of almonds, and they are on top of the head. So these small centers of the brain are all about survival mode, identifying fight-flight mode and triggering that fight-flight mode so you can survive and deal with the danger. So what I'm picking up, these amygdala complex are sort of trapped into a fear mode, heightened fear mode. And interestingly, this fear mode is been programmed in early childhood. specifically the first year, where environment didn't feel safe and overwhelm of fear of survival. So we are going to work on neutralizing, synthesizing, and clearing that fear, specifically from the first year of life, that is stored in the connective tissue and that has sort of triggered the tone of fear in amygdala complex, which in turn constantly keeps it into that survival mode, heightened experience of stress and heightened cortisol levels. So we'll just tune in and focus on releasing all that emotional trauma, specifically from the first year of life. I'm working on improving the circulation to the amygdala complex. And we are looking at shifting the amygdala complex out of this fight, flight, survival mode, which is heightened production of cortisol, through I'm working on balancing the HPA axis, which is hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenals, and how this loop is overactivated for high cortisol levels. And with this treatment, we are looking at shifting the amygdala complex out of this heightened survival mode, heightened cortisol levels, to the tend and befriend mode. Tend and befriend mode is where there's heightened production of oxytocin. Oxytocin is the neurotransmitter for connection, and dopamine, which is the reward hormone. So we are looking at increasing the production of oxytocin and dopamine, and it's optimizing its receptors in the brain, and running a program and a treatment to shift the amygdala complex out of this survival mode, fight-flight mechanism, into tend and befriend mode with heightened oxytocin and dopamine levels. As well as we are looking at rewiring the amygdala complex with the prefrontal cortex for putting things into right perspective. So prefrontal cortex is about seeing things for what they are. And amygdala complex is programmed with the past stresses. So we are looking at reconnecting and optimizing the communication networks of the amygdala complex to the prefrontal cortex, so it's able to put things into right perspective, and the septal area of the brain, which is all about peace, harmony, and bliss. So let's go ahead and balance that amygdala complex into this sense of feeling peace, harmony, and releasing all the stress. So I'm just focusing on integrating this whole session. So just take a few deep breaths. And if you like, you can tap your head, heart, and gut for 3 full breaths. I could feel a lot of sensation, especially in my head, and feeling more lighter in my body. So I hope you enjoyed the session and this helps you with releasing your stress and anxiety. Drink more water to support with synthesizing and processing the treatment. I would like to invite you to my website, to my YouTube channel if you'd like to learn more about holistic health. I offer 20 minutes online complimentary consultation, so check that out. So feel free to reach out if you're new to BodyTalk and would like to explore holistic health. Thank you.